Are you always coming up with ideas? Do you marvel at successful business owners? Do you hate being told what to do? Ever take things apart just to see how they work? Are you a dreamer? If you've answered yes to any of these questions, this podcast is for you. Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Enclave with Kevin Wortham, the podcast that focuses on building, maintaining, pivoting, planning, and investing in you, the entrepreneur. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Pro Tapes and Specialties is the world leader in tape manufacturing and specialty conversion with over 40 years of experience. In addition to our pro brand of high-quality specialty adhesive tapes, we provide contract converting services that help improve your profitability, streamline your supply chain, and reduce inventory cost. We offer the most complete range of converting capabilities in the industry, such as cloth tape, double-coated tape, specialty tape, paper tape, masking tape, vinyl tape,
carton sealing tape, adhesive transfer tape, duct tape, foam tape, electrical tape, filament tape, foil tape, reflective tape.
And the tape just keeps on rolling. Visit us online today at www.protapes.com or call us at 800-345-0234. Pro Tapes, it's just how we roll.
Welcome to another fantastic episode of the Entrepreneurial Enclave, Life's Coming Attraction. I am your host, Kevin Wortham. Listen, anytime I can go back to my old stomping grounds and talk to successful leaders, I want to do it. Dr. Smith, welcome to the platform. How are you?
I'm well. Hello, everyone. I'm glad to be here.
Good. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to introduce you formally, and let's start from the beginning when I could call you Charisse West.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So how did Charisse come to Notre Dame High School?
Well, being a member of the Our Lady of the Divine Shepherd Church,
Yes.
which is the first and only
Charisse,
Black.
just for a second, you got a little echo going on. Yeah.
Here. I'm in the living room.
Okay. Are you on a speakerphone?
No.
No. You're on a headset?
Nope.
No. Okay. Well, let's rock and roll without it. Okay. Let's go.
Okay.
Continue, please.
Yes. The Our Lady of the Divine Shepherd Church, which I was a member of.
Yes.
And wanted to continue, or my parents wanted to continue my education in the Catholic schools of Trenton.
Yes.
So I was the only African American Black female in my 8th grade class at Blessed Sacrament.
Wait! Time out.
Yes.
You came from Blessed Sacrament too?
Yes, I did.
I don't remember you there.
Who was in your class?
Well, so I came in with Eric Canty, Marty Ford, Martin Eli.
I came in my
Chiwa.
I came in my 7th grade.
Yes.
Year.
Wow.
Well, you weren't there because I don't want to tell my age, but we were a couple years apart.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm like,
so I didn't start there.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I was that transient student that people talk about.
Yes.
Being moved from one place to another.
Yes.
And I say that with pride because I'm very good with change.
Yes.
So it was where my mother found great teaching.
Yes.
So if she heard that, this particular group of teachers were doing well, that's where she put me.
Okay.
And after that year or 2 years, then I moved to another school.
Yes.
So it wasn't like we moved or anything within the city of Trenton.
Yes.
It was just where great teaching was happening.
Got you.
Mm-hmm.
So it could have been public or private at that time. It just didn't make a difference.
It didn't make a difference. I was at an independent school, Bethany Lutheran.
Yes.
And I was a product of the Trenton Public Schools as well, Joyce Kilmer School.
Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you're at Blessed Sacrament, and you graduate Blessed Sacrament. You've got a choice to go to St. Anthony's, or which was the Iron Mikes, or to go to Notre Dame. Why did you choose Notre Dame?
It was a friend of my mother.
Yes.
And we were like family.
Yes.
So her daughter, Tangela Mitchell.
Oh yeah, I know Tangy. Yeah.
So it was because of Tangy.
Yes.
Following behind her.
Yes.
Her mother spoke highly of Tangela's time at Notre Dame,
Yes.
and that's how I came in.
And her mother used to be my teacher over at Monument School.
Stop. Yes. So I can recall her bringing in workbooks.
Yes.
From Monument and playing school.
Yes.
That was playing school with Miss Keith's school books from
Yes.
Monument School.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So now you're at Notre Dame, and so let's hold up for a second.
Okay.
You're at Notre Dame. Is this like a cultural shock to you, or this is not so much of a cultural shock because you've gone to, mixed schools and classes throughout?
No, it wasn't a culture shock for me at all.
Okay.
Being the only Black person
Yes.
in a grade level for many years,
Yes.
or a school rather, and being in a Catholic environment,
Yes.
it wasn't a culture shock at all. So I knew the language per se,
Yes.
and I knew how adults perceived us,
Yes.
inner city
Yes.
Black and brown kids.
Okay. Let's stop. Let's stop. How did they perceive us?
From my experience,
Yes.
that we were different.
Okay.
We were different in many ways, in the way in which we attend church and what we do in church.
Okay.
And I think I was sort of an enigma. I was a part of a Black Catholic church,
Yes.
which is very different as well.
Okay.
So coming into to a space where I knew the prayers, I
Yes.
knew the formalities of a mass,
Yes.
but I also knew gospel music. And I was also, very embracing of my own Black culture.
Yes.
So I thought I was kind of an enigma.
Okay.
Most
That would make you such. So
yeah, so I was able to check quite a few boxes
Yes.
at Notre Dame.
Yes. So you're at Notre Dame, and I meet you because we ran track, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
That's correct.
Let's move ahead to your senior year. What
Okay.
colleges are you interested in? Well, let's go back. How was
Okay.
your 4 years at Notre Dame? Were you received well by the students, by the staff, and the teachers?
I would say for the most part, yes.
Yes.
I thought I was received well because I was able to check several of those boxes.
Yes.
I was an athlete.
Yes.
I was Catholic.
Yes.
I was a good athlete.
Yes.
So that opened quite a few doors
Yes.
in that space
Yeah.
as well. And
I want to tell you a story.
Okay.
And shout out to Chappie Moore, because we had this conversation probably maybe 25 years ago.
mhm,
One of the things Chappie said to me, he said, the reason why you are going to be successful is because you were coachable, you were teachable.
mhm,
And so didn't understand that. Right?
mhm,
I understand that now.
uh-huh,
And I remember there were a few incidents where, playing football, I messed up. Chappie grabbed my face mask, rattled it around. No harm, no foul, right?
mhm,
But there were some other brothers that said, man, if Chappie would have grabbed my face mask like that, my father would beat the shit out of him,
mhm,
right? Because I was coachable and teachable, I was able to go to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There was no harm or foul in him grabbing my face mask. It meant nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But to other folk, it made a big deal. And when it came time for recruiting and it came time for Chappie to vouch for you,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps he could, perhaps he couldn't. That's another story.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my biggest lesson, being comfortable, being uncomfortable, but making sure everybody understood my character so that
Mm-hmm.
I would be teachable and coachable.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. All right, end of the conversation. I'll see you tomorrow. No, I'm sorry. So shout out to Chappie Moore and to his wonderful staff at Notre Dame and the football squad. So I'm sorry. So
well, it's great that you mentioned him because I had experiences with great coaches as well. Tony Genovese
yes,
was my advocate from the very beginning.
yes,
coming in as a freshman, and I'm going to go back a little bit.
okay,
It was a little rough.
yes,
And I would even say that I experienced a little bullying.
okay,
In the beginning.
okay,
But I think that Geno, and that was what we called him affectionately.
yes,
He saw that, but he said, "Charisse, don't say anything. Do your talking on the track.
yes,
Don't respond. Just do your talking on the track."
yes,
And that was a great piece of advice that he had for me because I didn't say anything.
yes,
I did all of my business on the track.
yes. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Coach Geno. I see him around often.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He till this day, he holds all of, and we were called Geno's girls,
Yes.
all of this in high regard and affection. We've had meetings with him years later,
Yes.
or I would say years ago,
Yes,
and his experiences with us
yes.
brings him to tears.
Wow.
Literally brings him to tears and at times speechless.
Yes,
And I was so grateful to be a part of that group
yes.
of young women.
'Cause
We learned a lot, and
Yes.
blood, sweat, and tears we left on that cinder track.
Yes.
Literally.
Not a tartan track, but a cinder track.
Right. Young folks don't know what that is.
I'll tell you.
Yeah, but that was one of the highlights of my time at Notre Dame.
Yes.
It was with the girls track team and the friendships I still continue to hold
Yes.
till this day.
Yes. And every now and then I'll bump into Coach Drewlers at the Marazzo shopping market.
Mm-hmm.
So your senior year,
Mm-hmm.
what are you interested in? What are you wanting to major in as you go forth into college? And did you run track in college?
Oh yeah, that's a very interesting question that you asked me.
Yes.
I decided to major in history.
Okay.
Coming out of Notre Dame.
Yes.
And I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do.
Yes.
But I found history very, very appealing, very interesting. I had the opportunity to go visit different colleges as a recruit.
Yes.
A track and field recruit from UMass at Amherst
Yes.
to Temple, Rutgers.
Yes.
We had an opportunity to travel, and I can recall going to the Meet of Champions my senior year.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So if you're not familiar, the Meet of Champions is a track meet where the top athletes in the county and the state,
Yes.
in the state, they compete against each other.
Yes.
So it's really top notch.
Yes.
And I had to sign with either Rutgers or Temple University.
Yes.
And I totally fell in love with Temple. I loved Temple. And then there was Rutgers, which I liked as well.
Yes.
And I think my parents, due to financial constraints,
Yes.
thought that the better deal was with Rutgers. And
Yes.
I wind up running for a year of D1 track and field. And Kevin, as you know, D1 is like having another job.
Listen. Yes, it
It's a
is.
full-time
Yes.
job.
Yes.
It is no joke.
Yes.
It consumes your life. And back in the 80s, women's sports were not as popular or funded like male sports were.
Yes.
So we were sharing old uniforms. I think we had better uniforms at Notre Dame than we did at Rutgers.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember. It was crazy.
Yes.
So, like I said, I ran a year. I found out that I had asthma
Okay.
my freshman year, and that put a screeching halt to my track career.
Yes.
There. So I can remember practicing in the bubble near Rutgers Stadium and
Yes.
just being covered in sweat and having to catch a bus
Mm-hmm.
and sit in a cold lecture hall with
Yes.
like 400 or 500 people. And I was like, okay, I don't think I can do this. So I said, I think I'm going to, which my parents were not happy about.
Mm-hmm.
I dropped my scholarship. I stopped running and focused on my my academic career.
Okay.
And graduating.
Now let me stop
on
you.
time.
Emotionally, take me back to that spot when you had to make that decision. What were you feeling emotionally? Did you feel like you lost a part of you, or this was just another step in what you thought would be your right direction?
I did, and you hear now of athletes like Simone Biles
Yes.
and some other top athletes who talk about mental health
Yes.
and being in athletics.
Yes.
It's rough, and sometimes it's really lonely. I felt lonely,
Okay.
and the only one who could advocate for me was me.
Yes.
And I thought my decision was a great decision for me.
Yes.
My dad was not happy.
Yes.
He had to pay more
Yes.
in tuition. But my mother was very supportive and,
Yes.
and understood that I didn't go to school to run track.
Yes.
I went to school to learn.
Yes.
So that was a decision that to this day it sits quite well with me.
Okay.
Quite well.
Let me stop you again because you touched on to something, and I want to have you pick up on this. How traumatizing can our mental health be if we don't have it under control? And do you think it has levels to mental health in terms of it being black, brown, or people of other color?
I think it can. I know it can be debilitating.
Yes.
That if you are not in the right headspace,
Yes.
the world is off kilter
Yes.
for you, and there's no joy in behavior which was joyous to you prior.
Yes.
So yeah, it and for being a black or a brown person who is held in high regard
Yes.
in your area of athletic expertise,
Yes.
people look up to you.
Yes.
People may stop you on the street. Well, how you doing? And
Yes.
I heard you had a scholarship, and
Yes.
and yeah, I did. But I think once I explained the goal of college for me personally,
Yes.
I had to be selfish,
Understood.
Kevin.
Understood.
I had to, and I thought for someone as that young, that was a pretty bold move
Yes.
to say, look, I'm not going to take the money,
Yes.
and I'm just going to focus on me being happy,
Yes.
me being healthy, and learning. learning was a big part of my decision.
Did you lose out with your track friends, or they were supportive and understanding as well?
Oh, they were supportive.
Yes.
It's D1 is rough, as you know,
Oh, yes.
and either I kudos to those who can go through that process. It's a commitment. It's a commitment for a young person to make,
Yes.
to put your body through, grueling training, not just one season,
Yes.
but it's all year long.
Absolutely.
You're talking about running in the snow. You're talking about hitting the weight room. You're talking about sprints in the bubble. You're talking about 400s outside in the heat.
Yes.
All year long.
Yes.
So I think young athletes in high school really need to take that in consideration when taking on this commitment. It's a mental and a physical commitment.
Yes.
To a D1 sport.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So
Mm-hmm.
you decide not to run track anymore, and
Mm-hmm.
are you still majoring in history?
No, I
Okay.
actually changed over to psychology
Okay.
and had a wonderful internship with the Douglas Developmental
Yes.
Disability Center,
Yes.
and that was for autistic preschoolers.
Yes.
And that was the beginning of my teaching career,
Yes. Okay.
right then and there.
Got you. The
Mm.
the interesting thing for me, right, is here we are. We're young folks, and we're not knowing what we are navigating, because
Mhm.
for a lot of us, this was a new space for us.
Mhm.
If you had to look back now, how would you think, or how would you grade your younger self?
Naive,
Okay.
but I had wonderful parents
Yes.
who I would hear their voice
Yes.
in different spaces.
Yes.
Like either that's not safe, or that you need to think about that twice, or you can do this. So it ran the gamut. Having a great family behind me and a core group of friends, and it wasn't a lot of friends. It was maybe 3 or 4, and they came from Notre Dame.
Yes.
My lovely friend Keisha Smith, who I believe was in your class.
Yeah, may she rest in peace. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
And Sanja Vaughn Bell,
Yes.
who was class of '85.
Yes.
We continue to reach out to each other
Yes.
in different spaces.
Yes.
So having that foundation, a great family foundation, and a great friend foundation
Yes.
from Notre Dame, I think helped me along my former years,
Yes.
my early years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you graduate from Rutgers.
Hmm.
What does the world look like for you? Where are you moving to now?
I had a passion for helping
Yes.
kids. I've always said when I was younger, I said I want to be a kindergarten teacher, and my mother's like, "Ma, teachers don't make any money," and I was like, "Well, I don't care. My sweet spot was working with children
Yes.
of all kinds.
Yes.
So starting with autistic preschoolers
Yes.
to students who were suffering from mental illness
Yes.
themselves out of UMD&J.
Yes.
So I worked there for a good 15 years,
Okay.
working with children who were hospitalized in inpatient units across New Jersey,
Yes.
and helping them transition back into the community.
Yes.
So I always knew that my work was going to be with children.
Yes.
It was where I know I needed to be. I knew that was my vocation.
Yes. Wow. So But because I think you and I made the reconnection when this might have been about 10 years ago. You were in the process of writing a book, I think, right?
I'm still writing that book.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many chapters to this book? What, 3,000 chapters now?
Oh, I keep picking it up and I put it down, and and to make it even worse, Kevin, it's a children's book.
Oh no!
Uh-huh.
The kids are gonna be adults now.
I know, so their kids can read it.
Yeah.
So,
Oh my God. Okay.
Actually, it's a very something that's dear to my heart.
Yes.
Okay. Children making a transition from one space to another, and having courage to want to learn when everybody else is not feeling that, or doesn't find that important. But you're driven to learn more.
So now, when did you decide to go back to school to get your PhD?
Wow, I was teaching actually kindergarten in Hamilton.
Yes,
and I knew I wanted to do more. So it was more curiosity, Kevin, than anything of what this looks like and how far can I take it.
Yes.
So I wasn't sure in which direction in a doctoral program, be it leadership or curriculum.
Yes.
So I took the path of, it's called professional studies. So I was able to choose my coursework.
Yes.
So I took courses in grant writing.
Yes.
For science instruction and secondary education curriculum. So it was like how my life was. It was a mixture of this and a mixture of that, but it was all surrounded by education.
Yes.
Which helped me with my business.
Okay.
So I didn't realize.
But hold off on that, because I want to talk about that later. But let's finish the course of study that you were taking.
Yeah.
So finish,
So I was able to complete a research dissertation on STEM after school programs for African American 4th, 5th, and 6th grade students in inner city schools.
Okay. Now,
these programs.
Let me stop you. Why was it important for you to do your dissertation on that?
Because I found that science instruction was not being taught to our students.
Is it because they don't want to, or they think that we're not capable?
The explanation that was given is that we needed to spend more time with reading and with math.
Wow.
So social studies and science actually were put on the back burner. That actually still continues to this day.
Wow.
So there were companies and organizations that had said, hey, well, we want to help feed the STEM pipeline with African Americans and girls.
Yes.
But I found that there was a lot of money going into these programs.
Yes.
But were they successful in what they were doing by feeding the STEM pipeline?
Yes.
So that was my question. Was this really legitimate? Are you just taking money and saying that you're helping our kids and really helping our kids, or not?
Yes.
And some of these places were notable places. I can't say who they were.
Understood.
But I found that they weren't really good, Kevin.
Wow.
They were not good.
Well, it was
I was shocked.
A lot of smoke and mirror at that point with some of these companies.
Yes, definitely. Oh, we're helping Black and brown kids. No, you're kind of helping your pockets right here.
Yes.
This is not run very well, or I don't see an end here for our students. What are you doing with our kids? So it kind of got my advocacy juices flowing. Like, you just can't treat our kids any old kind of way.
Yeah.
So I became a loud voice.
Yes.
In that.
Now let me ask a question. When you're presenting your dissertation, is there an opportunity for there to be peer review?
Oh, it's definitely, there's a committee that takes a look at your work, and they kind of let you just freely speak about your journey and what you have learned.
Yes.
And I expressed at my my defense that I was very disappointed in what I saw.
Yes.
And seek to change education from within.
Yes. So now, what was your core group of study? Meaning, when you said young men, where was this work actually being done when you were writing your dissertation?
So I did some work in Camden.
Yes.
I did work in Trenton.
Yes.
And in Hamilton Township, New Jersey.
Wow. Okay. And all three districts were quite receptive?
That was a tough sell.
Yes.
That was a tough sell. I think to gain permissions was the toughest part of my dissertation work.
Wow.
And actually, Kevin, I was warned at the beginning of my journey. One of my instructors said, "Charisse, don't try to save the world right now.
Yeah.
Just get your dissertation done." And I was like, "Oh, no, that's not how I roll."
Yeah.
No, things need to change now.
Yes.
And I keep that spirit.
Okay.
I really keep that spirit.
Now, while you're running these three programs, how are you sustaining yourself? Through grant money?
I wasn't necessarily I was necessarily running the program. I was observing the program.
Okay, now say more. So you found three programs in those various areas.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, got you now. And you said to them, "May I observe?" Got you.
Yes.
I'm with you now. Please continue. Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So hence some of them being very apprehensive of having someone look in from the outside.
Yes.
So, but going back to your question, how I was sustained emotionally came from my family.
Okay.
My husband, Stephen, and my two children.
Yes.
There were times, Kevin, I didn't go anywhere for fun. It took me 7 years, Kevin.
Wow.
7 years to complete my doctorate.
Congratulations,
and if it weren't,
though.
Thank you. If it weren't for my husband and my children cooking dinner, sometimes I wouldn't cook dinner, or many times I didn't cook dinner.
Yes.
And I was like basically locked up in my office, for nights on end, but still teaching full time.
Wow.
So it was arduous. It was painful.
Yes.
But when I received that piece of paper, I cried.
Listen, I'm crying now too. Fantastic. Thank you. And you know what? Just this is serious, and this is a joke, right? A buddy of mine got his PhD, and they said, "Why we got to call him doctor?" I said, "Because this dude has been to hell and back, and he has earned the right to be called doctor." And I said, "And besides, we're going to use his name to get a first seat in the restaurant." So I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. So let me ask this question. So while you knew that the finish line was there, was there any time that you wanted to give up because you thought this was not obtainable?
Worth it.
Or worth it? Thank you.
Yeah, I've had people say, "Well, why are you doing this?"
Yes.
Here's the question: what are you going to do with that?
Yes.
Or there were times when, it really took a strain on my marriage.
Yes.
It took a strain on me being a mother of young children.
Yes.
And saying, "Okay, look, I need to put this down and get right."
Yes.
But I had other other people, other coaches in the background, one
Yes.
being my 90-year-old grandmother. Let me tell you
Wow.
about her, Kevin.
Yes. Talk to me.
She was the oldest graduate of Monmouth University.
Wow. Wow.
Got her master's, her bachelor's at 80
Yes.
and her master's at 84, I believe.
That's all right. That's all right. You never stop learning. Thank you.
No,
Yes.
never. So she said, I want to be there
Yes.
when you get your doctorate.
Yes.
And I made that happen.
Absolutely.
I had wheelchair service, and Nana was up in that piece, let me tell
Yes.
you.
Yes. That's all right.
Yeah.
That's all right. Wow.
She sure was. She
Yes.
sure was. So I had those quiet voices in the background,
Yes.
cheering me on, saying, you can do this.
Yes.
You're going to do this.
Yes.
But let me tell you, there were times where I said, I got to put this down because
Yes.
my world feels like it's crumbling around me.
Yes.
I can't do it. And was, I was overjoyed. I can't even speak about how happy I was.
Yes.
It was surreal. Let's just say.
I can imagine. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So now, two-part question. What was your biggest challenge? Well, know what? Hold that question.
Okay.
So you're doing the research, right?
Mm-hmm.
What did the research show you in terms of STEM and Black and brown folks' ability to receive this type of information, this type of training? What did the research show you?
It showed me that parents were a big piece in the decision making
Yes.
for children
Yes.
going into these fields.
Yes.
So if parents had these conversations with kids about careers,
Yes.
about their interests,
Yes.
about problems in science, they could be about food, they could be about your environment,
Yes.
they could be about climate.
Yes.
So having those conversations and having your kids exposed
Yes.
and being a part of that exposure as well.
Yes.
Not just dropping the kids off at camp, but being a part of it
Yes.
was a big factor in kids changing their attitudes about science or
Okay.
being a scientist or being an engineer.
Gotcha.
So that's one thing I did find, excuse me, through my research. It
Yes.
wasn't the actual program.
Okay.
It was that parent connection
Yes.
or other person connection. So it may not have been a parent. It may be a relative or a family friend who encourages
Yes.
that kind of exposure and experience.
Yes. Wow. Wow. So you do your dissertation. You're published. You're now Dr. Charisse West Smith. When do you start to feel the entrepreneurial juices?
Actually, it wasn't until years later.
Okay.
I was just kind of getting my feet wet. And actually, Kevin, it was a lot of hate.
Who can hate on
It was
you?
a lot of hate. Oh, man. I had people refusing to call me doctor.
Why so? Why so?
I think the space in which I was in
Yes.
did not know what to do with a highly educated Black woman.
Wow. So what would
There
they
many-
call you?
many
They would
issues.
call you Charisse, or wouldn't call you anything
They
at
would
all?
call me Charisse
Yes.
or Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
And I was lucky to have been mentored by strong Black women
Yes.
in these spaces. And
Yes.
one said, it was a secretary who said Charisse, and she said, my mentor at the time, she said, her name is Dr. Smith.
Yes.
You call her by her name
Yes.
and you change the name tag on the mailbox. Something that small
Yes.
as changing the name on the mailbox
Yes.
in the school building.
Yes.
That meant a lot, Kevin. And let me tell you what else this woman did for me.
Listen, I can imagine, but go ahead. Yes.
She actually had a program for me
Yes.
celebrating me getting my doctorate. She wanted her black and brown kids in that building to see what a doctor looks like.
Yes.
So she had me bring my doctoral robe.
Yes.
She had me bring my hat.
Yes.
They brought the little orchestra out there. The kids played a
Yes.
fanfare for me. I have never been so humbled,
Yes.
Kevin. But she wanted those students and the staff to see
Yes.
what excellence looked like.
Yes. This is what excellence looked like coming from a black woman, African American. Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Can we give her a shout out or you?
Yeah, Sharon Young.
Okay, thank you.
Sharon L. Young, one of my mentors, along with Suzanne Stevenson from the Hamilton Public Schools.
Yes.
They were instrumental in supporting my work.
And so the hatred just wasn't about that. What else was the hatred about? That you had the stick-to-itiveness?
Yeah, that I was an advocate
Yes.
for black and brown kids.
Okay.
And I would say that out loud
Yes.
in white spaces.
Yes.
In so much that I became the president of a nonprofit
Yes.
that's connected to the Hamilton Public School District called Excellence Through Education, or ETE. And we would acknowledge African American or African American students or students in the African diaspora.
Yes.
With merit awards and academic scholarships. They do it every single year. So my advocacy and loud mouth, I was nominated as president for that organization for 4 years.
Wow, good for you. Good for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so under your leadership, what were some of the things that you were able to bring to fruition?
I think one of the most proudest moments I've had
Yes.
was toward the end of my tenure, not only with the Hamilton Township School District,
Yes.
but with ETE.
Okay.
I was able to help facilitate the naming of the administration building for James E. Stevenson, the first Black board member in Hamilton Township School District in its history.
Slow down. Say that one more time.
Mm-hmm.
Say that one more time. Doc.
James E. Stevenson building is now it was the administration building for the Hamilton Township Public School District. And it is now the James E. Stevenson administration building. And he was the first Black school board member in the history of Hamilton Township Schools.
Awesome. And so under your leadership, you were able to get them to change the building to such. Mm-hmm. Excellent. Excellent. So I guess about 10 minutes ago, I had talked about some of the challenges. Now let's hear about some of the regrets in terms of you achieving becoming a doctor. Any regrets?
No, this is my journey.
Okay.
This is my journey. I mean,
do you think you could have?
I'm
sorry, go ahead.
I've seen people younger than me make it to this level.
Yes.
And I have to say, this was done in my own time. There were times, no lie, Kevin, that I would say I would be passed over for numerous positions.
Yes.
And where people who came behind me would get positions in administration.
Yes.
And I was like, well, should I have started sooner? Did I take the right path?
Yes.
And just kind of questioning myself.
Yes.
But now at this juncture, Kevin, I'm good.
I know you are.
I'm good. If I had gone through what I have gone through and what I have seen, in the way that I've seen it, I wouldn't be happy.
Understood. And I would agree. I would agree. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now let's fast forward a little further. When do the juices start to roll about starting a business?
Wow. So it's my mouth, Kevin. Just opening and advocating for students and for teachers.
Yes.
So this is a very funny story. A friend of mine lives in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yes.
And my husband and I went down there a couple of years ago for my birthday.
Yes.
And they rolled out the red carpet for us. They were like, "Oh my God, this is a beautiful city. We want you to come down here and think about living down here." And I was like, "Oh, I don't know." And then she said, "Well, I want you to come to a meeting with me,
Yes.
to one of the largest insurance companies in the country,
Yes.
right?" So I'm like, "Okay, so why do you want me to come with you?" She said, I just want you to come."
Mm-hmm.
So she was putting together a series of events for Black History Month,
Yes.
and it was called Black Wealth Week.
Okay.
And I'm like, "Okay, I can barely balance my checkbook. Why do you want me to come there?" She said, I just for support. So
Yes.
I listened to this group of like real heavy hitters
Yes.
and Charlotte. I felt so out of place
Yes.
there. So long story short, she kind of and we laugh about it. She bamboozled me into being a part of this series of Wealth Week experiences.
Yes. Yeah.
So
yeah.
one of the days they talked about entrepreneurship
Yes.
with franchises, and
Yes.
then another talked about saving money, or another
Yes.
one was about budgeting. So I was a hostess for their last evening, which was a gala,
Yes.
and I was the host. One of the hosts. There was a host and a hostess. I was the
Yes.
hostess, and Kevin, I brought the house down.
Awesome. Awesome.
Brought the house down.
Awesome.
And I was in the presence of their commissioner
Yes.
for finance or something in the city of Charlotte.
Yes.
And the day I was supposed to return, I was invited to. They have a consortium of Black businesses in Charlotte.
Yes.
Kevin, it was five ballrooms full of just Black folks doing the daggone thing
Yes.
there in Charlotte. And I was like, wow, this is incredible.
Yes.
And maybe I can do this on the road. Maybe I can go other places. So it was almost a little scary,
Yes.
Kevin, because the commissioner got up and said, "I want to talk about Dr. Smith. Where is Dr. Smith?
Yes.
He thinks she's cute. I want to get her up here." Kevin, I had to get up in front of that room of all those people.
Wow.
And it was a round of applause.
Yes.
And then I had to catch a flight. So I was leaving. When I was leaving, people were pulling my sleeve.
Yes.
And grabbing my jacket pocket, like, "We need to talk.
Yes.
We need to talk." And I was like, "Oh, wow, maybe I can do this motivational speaking,
Yes.
this consulting of what I know,
Yes.
and share with other people and make money."
Yes.
Moving forward a couple of maybe months later,
Yes.
I started working under a gentleman called, his name is Steve Bowler,
Yes.
and his moniker is Stand Tall Steve, and he supports educational speakers.
Yes.
So I'm under his umbrella of speaking in various places,
Yes.
and providing educational services. So he kind of helped me and coached me with things like your website,
Yes.
or contacting possible clients,
Yes.
and how to market yourself, and just the nuances of that type of work.
Yes. I love it. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
So you come back home, you are like walking on cloud nine. What's the name of your business that you start?
Sankofa Educational Consulting.
Yeah. And what does Sankofa mean?
It means we have to reach back to our past
Yes.
to move forward to the future.
Yes. And a lot of us should know Sankofa because and it's the symbol is a bird, right? The Sankofa bird. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Excellent.
Yes, reaching backward,
Yes.
picking up an egg,
Yes.
to turn around to move forward.
Yes. And so, how long have you been in this space of having your business?
Let me tell you, Kevin, I started right when the pandemic hit.
Okay. Good.
So I'm a risk taker,
Yes.
and there was a need
Yes.
for educational speaking virtually.
Yes.
So schools were closed,
Yes.
businesses were closed, so that that need for speakers virtually was there, and I hit it at the right time.
Awesome.
I hit it at the right time.
Awesome.
And
Thank you.
people were saying, Charisse, you're crazy for starting a business during a pandemic.
Yes. But there have been more women and more women of color to start businesses during the pandemic than ever before.
Mm-hmm.
So welcome to the club. Now, my next question is, I saw you, I guess, about 4 or 5 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and we were doing some things at Notre Dame. Let's fast forward and let's talk about Notre Dame, right?
Okay,
You now are on the board at Notre Dame, correct?
that's correct.
You are a board member at Notre Dame. How did that come about?
It came about a conversation with Anthony Genovese, Coach Geno.
Yes.
At his home, we had a track reunion,
Yes.
and I was talking to him about some of the work that I have been doing with students. I've been doing some diversity and inclusion work as
Yes.
well,
Yes.
and he was like, "You know what, Charisse, we need to bring you onto the board." And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know about that." I mean, it wasn't that I didn't have great memories
Yes.
and experiences at Notre Dame,
Yes.
but diversity work is rough,
Oh, I know.
especially
Yes.
in traditionally white conservative spaces.
Yes.
So I'm like, I said, well, I'm open to. I felt an obligation to Coach Geno
Yes.
to at least try. That's what coaches do. They ask you something, and you're like, okay, Coach.
Yeah, okay.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
If you think I can do it, Coach.
That's exactly what it was. So I started out with attending an ad hoc committee of diversity.
Yes.
So it was a mixture of human resources, admissions,
Yes.
and I started to look at what was in place, and it seemed stagnant.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, you can do a lot of talking, but there needs to be movement.
Yes.
And then I said to Geno, and I said to the chair of the board,
Yes.
are you sure, and the president, Ken Jennings,
Yes.
are you sure you want me to do this?
Yes.
Because they wanted to change it from an ad hoc committee to a full standing committee.
Yes.
And I said, we are going to have some really uncomfortable conversations.
Yes.
We're going to talk about things that people are uncomfortable about, don't want to talk about.
Yes.
But I have to give it to you rugged and raw.
Yes.
And that's how you're going to get the work done. Okay, Charisse, yes, that's what we want. I was like, are you sure?
Are you sure?
Are you sure? Because
Yes.
at that point in time, there were things happening in other schools
Yes.
concerning racial
Yes.
incidents of either intimidation
Yes.
or bullying, or the microaggressions that turned into full-blown aggressive acts
Yes.
right in Mercer County.
Oh, yes.
So I was like, okay. So I got started, and I am the first Black board member Notre Dame has ever had.
Wait,
in its
time out.
75.
Time out.
Yep.
Time out. Notre Dame has been around 1,000 years, and you are the first.
Yes.
Holy crap. Okay, so Dr. Smith, I'm gonna say your whole name. Dr.
Okay.
Charisse West Smith. Congratulations, sister. Wow.
Thank you. Thank
So
you.
why was Notre Dame sleep at the wheel for so long?
You know, because they really didn't take a look at their core values.
Okay.
I went way back. I'm a researcher, Kevin.
Yes.
So I looked back at what are your true values? Let me ask you this.
Yes.
Do you remember the values of Notre Dame?
For when?
So I went. I had to go there. I said, "This is what you're founded on."
Yes.
The Mercy core values. There were a set of sisters who put Notre Dame, who set it into motion.
Yes.
And you are obligated.
Yes.
To do this work with diversity.
Yes. Thank you.
Obligated.
Thank you. Man.
So they were like, "Yeah, I guess we have to."
Yeah.
So there was pushback in some areas.
I can imagine.
I think,
like who invited this sister? I'm gonna call her Charisse and get her off the board.
Yeah, like what? They were calls like what is going on there? And even things like creating a diversity page, bringing that diversity page up in center, bringing in and recruiting African American teachers into the fold, so you can have that experience of working with and our kids being taught by someone who is of African descent.
Yeah. Now I got a curious question. Now we're Notre Dame. It's a Catholic school. So for religion, we're teaching Catholicism, correct?
Yes.
Where, if at any part, are we leaning toward critical race theory or some semblance thereof? Where are we with that?
No. So critical race theory is something that's in post-secondary education.
Okay.
Being aware of true history and how we came to be is a part of learning history, learning about ourselves, learning about civics, learning about geography. Where did these folks come from? How did we get here? So we had to really take a look. We did an audit.
Okay.
We did an audit of what Notre Dame was doing as far as being more inclusive of other cultures, of other people who speak different languages. So it wasn't just African American, it was everybody. Making sure that everyone had a voice and everyone was being treated fairly as God had intended folks to be treated.
Thank you.
So when we got down to the granular level of your Mercy core values, we were supposed to be doing this a long time ago.
Wow. So now, where this is a long question. Where is Dr. West as an entrepreneur 5 years from now? Where is Dr. West as a board member at Notre Dame High School 5 years from now?
Wow. So I have a couple of irons in the fire as far as business is concerned. Just this past year, I was able to secure a contract with the Senior Medicaid Patrol. This totally fell in my lap, Kevin.
Okay.
I had under my my business for educational consulting, I had other tutors who would tutor students virtually. This is during the pandemic. And now once things started to open up, I had my tutors tutoring students and adults, in person. So I'm also a board member with the New Jersey Advocates for Aging Well. And I'm a part of their education committee there as well. So I gained access to some information about a contract to serve senior citizens in federal housing complexes to learn computer skills. like
What?
how to, open up an email,
Yes.
how to shop on Amazon, how to use YouTube, all
Yes.
that good stuff.
Yes.
So I was like, well, I tutor children, but I wonder if I can pivot to tutor older Americans, older New Jerseyans. I said,
Yes.
you know what? I can do it.
Yes.
So I started recruiting folks who might be interested in it.
Yes.
So I applied for this contract. It was me and Kane University.
Wow.
I got the contract.
Awesome. Congratulations. Awesome.
Thank you. So we service the goal of, and this was through a grant with the Senior Medicaid Control and
Yes.
HUD to service 50 senior complexes throughout the state of New Jersey.
Wow.
I serviced over 54.
Wow.
So I went beyond the contract.
Yes.
And it was the best experience.
Okay. Awesome.
Moving forward, so the contract is over,
Yes.
but now I'm looking to actually have senior centers, a center here in Trenton,
Yes.
for seniors to come in and learn computer skills.
Wow. Wow. Doc, this is fantastic. So this is your 5-year thought as far as Dr. West is concerned with Sankofa.
You keep divorcing me from my husband, Kevin.
I said Dr. West Smith. I said that. You see,
Okay.
you're getting older.
No,
You
you
didn't hear
said
me.
West.
Oh, I did? Okay. I
Yeah.
just little joke. But I got the doctor right, though, Steve. We
Yeah,
still
you
love
did.
you,
That's
Steve.
the important part, right?
That's the important part. As long as I call you Dr. West Smith, just answer to all of it.
Yeah.
We love you, Steve. I'm sorry about that, buddy. Okay. So that's where we are on the business side. Where are we on the board member side?
Well, we've done quite a bit of work
Yes.
in which we have a mission statement
Yes.
and mission and vision statement. So
Yes.
we continue to evaluate how we're doing along the way.
Okay.
So making constant improvements by doing a needs assessment every year
Yes.
to find out, are we meeting our goals? What
Yes.
goals would we like to attain?
Yes.
So they could change every year.
Yes.
And they could just working on a similar goal or
Yes.
the same goal as last year,
Okay.
because they didn't make the mark for that particular goal.
Okay.
So yeah, it's evolving.
Okay.
I plan to stay there as long as I'm possible.
And
to
now,
be there.
and listen, once this podcast goes out, more folks are going to know that you're there, and they're going to give you the encouragement to stay there.
Mm-hmm,
Right?
mm-hmm.
But I got a joke. We got to get some more people of color on the brochures, right? 'Cause
Mm-hmm. Well, that is a part of my conversation.
Okay,
So
okay.
if you look maybe 2-3 years ago,
Yeah.
there wasn't even a website,
Yes.
and I also wanted to, and even though we are athletes,
Yes.
I didn't want to stereotype us either. We're also scholars
Absolutely.
as well.
Absolutely.
So if you take a look at the Black students of Notre Dame
Yes.
who are doing extremely well.
Yes.
So we want to show families and students that we can beat you on the track and,
Yes.
and on the field,
Yes.
but we can also take this to another level
Yes.
through business and education as
Yes.
well.
Amen. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I wanted those images, and
Yes.
that was a very specific conversation
Yes.
that was had
Yes.
with Notre Dame about making those types of changes as well. So not only just talking the talk, but walking the walk.
Now I got a quiz for you, Doc. You ready?
I'm trying.
Did you take Latin?
I did not. I took German.
Okay. Okay, don't worry about it then. Don't worry about it. Well,
Okay.
Do you know how to say the Our Father prayer in German?
No, I do not.
Okay,
I can't.
Okay.
I can't recall. I did at one point in time, but if you don't use it, you lose it.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so we don't have to take that quiz. So
Okay.
with the time that we have left, with the space that we have left, Anything else we need to know about you? Any shout outs that you want to give to someone? And listen, what's the title of that book so we can keep it in prayer?
Parker Pete.
Parker Pete. Okay.
Parker Pete.
Parker Pete.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any other shout outs? Anything else we need to know about you, Doc?
Oh, wow. I want to take a shout out to you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is wonderful.
Yes.
To uplift and affirm folks here in our own community.
Yes.
I'm a total advocate for folks here in Trenton
Yes.
who are doing wonderful things. We stayed here.
Yes.
We stayed here, Kevin. Not to say that it was that we should have left or
Yes.
it's better to leave, but we're doing the work.
Yes.
We are building the foundation for the next generation, and I do like to shout out, or would like to shout out my mentors,
Yes.
who have helped me along the way. I could not have done this by myself.
Yes.
You can't. You need good friends, a good set of friends, and family and other members of the community to help you along the way.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You need that entire village.
Yes.
I know it sounds corny and hokey, but it's so true.
Yes, it is.
It's so true.
So go ahead and give them a shout out.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, go ahead and give them a shout out. You just want to say shout out.
Oh, so that's
Yeah.
that's Son Spell and Stacey Harrison and Keisha Smith, Eric Canty, Coach Jeno, Sharon Young,
Yes.
Pat Vincent, Suzanne Stevenson, James E. Stevenson in Hamilton, New Jersey, and my mom and dad, and
Yes.
my husband, Stephen A.
Yes. Stephen A. Smith. That's all. I love that name. Not to be confused with the great ESP analyst.
No. He's total opposite.
I know that's right. I know that. Dr. Wes Smith.
There we go.
There we go. I just caught you on that one. You have been fantastic. The platform is always open to you. Much success with your book, much success with your entrepreneurial journey. All right.
Thank you.
And certainly blessings. Anything I can do to help you at Notre Dame, I'll be glad to do so. Anyway, anything I can help you with, anything, please don't hesitate, right?
Absolutely. I'll be calling on you, Kevin.
Absolutely. Listen, let's talk and text. Let's stay connected.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, Doc.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That concludes another episode of The Entrepreneurial Enclave with Kevin Wortham, the podcast that focuses on building, maintaining, pivoting, planning, and investing in you, the entrepreneur. We hope you found this episode informative and enlightening. If you have any questions or comments about any of our episodes, please call 609-731-9311 or email Kevin at minding-our-